She looked at the princess with piercing eyes. I know what you desire, but I will ask you only one question. If you were given the opportunity for revenge, what would you do? It was as if Amara had rehearsed the answer in her heart for days. I want the ability to turn into a mighty beast. A lion, perhaps. A huge one. I will destroy Dike. I will destroy his peace. I will destroy all of Apama because they supported evil. I will take their peace. Let them feel what they made me feel. Apama used to be a very big, beautiful and peaceful village. However, over the past years, it has been haunted by a very mighty beast. The villagers went missing every now and then. A maiden could go to the stream in the evening or early in the morning and not return. A man or woman could go to the farm and not return. The villagers lived in fear, for the beast tormented them. Because of this, they never set out early in the morning, and on no occasion, I repeat, no occasion should sundown meet you in the farm, else you could become the next meal for the beast. The people of Apama have endured for years. But now things had gotten worse because since they have become too careful, the animal now waltzed into their homes in the night and they devoured whoever and whatever it met, whether man or animal. King Amadi was worried beyond measure. His once peaceful kingdom was now trembling like a leaf in the harmattan. Every day his people came to the palace gates to cry, complain and demand that he do something. Your Majesty, we are not safe again, they would shout. Even our goats don't sleep well anymore. My king, what are you doing about this? The king would sigh deeply, rub his bald head, and look to the heavens for help that never seemed to come. What could he do? He had sent his strongest warriors into the forests over and over again to hunt the beast. But each time they came back with long faces and shorter numbers. One day, not knowing what else to do, the king threw the challenge open to everyone in the village. He made an offer to them. Let it be known throughout the land, he declared, that whoever kills the beast and brings home its head shall have whatever he wishes from me. The crowd gasped. It was an offer no one could ignore, and yet no one moved. Everyone looked at one another, waiting for a foolishly brave soul to step forward. Not one person did. Even the flies buzzing around the palace went quiet. Then came Dike, a hunter, very handsome, strong and fearless. It happened that Dike was in love with Princess Amara, the king's second daughter. The both of them have loved each other since when they were young. Dike's mother used to serve in the king's court, and so Dike was a constant presence in the palace. Everyone knew they were close, but no one thought much of it. The royal family thought nothing of it too. They are just children, the queen used to say. Let them play. Well, the children grew, and so did their feelings. Yet, they both knew their love was forbidden. Amara was royalty, and Dike was just a common hunter. The world that separated them was wide, far, far wide. But love, being stubborn, refused to die. When Dike heard the king's announcement, his heart began to beat fast. This was it, the chance he had prayed for. If I kill the beast, he told himself, I will not ask for riches or land. I will ask for Amara's hand. This is the divine intervention I have been praying for. Dike mentioned this idea to Amara when they met in the palace the next day. For a moment, Amara just stared at him as if she did not hear well. Then her eyes widened. You what? I must do it, Dike continued, his voice steady. If I can kill the beast, I will ask your father for your hand in marriage. Amara's mouth fell open. Dike, are you hearing yourself? That beast tears men into pieces. Even the warriors ran back. Do you want to die? Just because of me? Her voice shook as she spoke. Then tears filled her eyes. She tried to wipe them away quickly, but Dike saw them. Please, don't do this, she begged, holding his hands tightly. I don't want to lose you. I would rather be your friend for life than cry over your grave. Dike cupped her face gently and smiled. Amara, listen to me. I won't die. I've hunted things before. I've hunted things that, well, may not be worse, but almost, he added with a small laugh. But Amara was not finding it funny. You cannot be serious, Dike. Oh, but I am, he said firmly. You are worth the risk, Amara. I'll fight 100 beasts if it means I can stand before you, father, as a man worthy of you. Her tears flowed freely then, but she knew his mind was made up. Love makes men brave, and sometimes foolish. But Dike's courage burned brighter than fear. Later that evening, he went before the king, bowed before him, and declared his intention. King Amadi, surprised but impressed, rose from his throne. My son, the king said, many have tried and failed, but if your heart is strong and your spirit pure, then may the gods guide you. You have my blessing. Word spread like wildfire. Dike the hunter was going after the beast. His mother wept when she heard. My son, she cried, clutching his arm. I carried you for 9 moons. I won't bury you before my eyes. His sisters too held him and begged, but Dike's mind was made up. That night, he sharpened his machete, cleaned his shotgun, gathered his charms, and fortified himself with herbs from the old medicine man. The moon hung full and round as he stepped into the dark forest. He had a plan. Meanwhile, back in the palace, Princess Amara refused to sleep. She knelt all night long in the royal shrine, whispering desperate prayers to the gods. Protect him, please. Bring him back to me, she pleaded over and over. Dike's mother too sat awake all night, her eyes red and swollen. Chuku, bring my son home, she murmured, rocking back and forth. Even if he comes back limping, even if he comes back with one arm, let him come back alive, she pleaded. And then back in the forest, Dike was fighting for his life. He had set a big trap using his hunter's wisdom. He dug a pit and placed a giant animal trap just a few feet from where he stood, covered it with dry leaves, and then stood in front of it, pretending to be unafraid, using himself as bait for the animal. His shotgun was cocked, ready. Then came the sound, heavy footsteps. The beast appeared, tall, dreadful, its eyes burning like fire. Dike's heart raced, but he did not move. With a loud roar, the beast, seeing his food ready, served on a platter of gold, charged. Dike fired his gun. The first shot only angered it more. It lunged forward and landed right on the hidden animal trap. The strong metal caught its legs, and the beast growled angrily, becoming even more angry. And so it lunged again, claws flashing, and caught his chest, 2 sharp gashes that burned. But Dike stood his ground. He drew his last strength, aimed again, and this time with a roar louder than the beast's, he pulled the trigger. The bullet hit its mark. The creature staggered, fell, and let out one final earth-shaking cry. Dike went closer and shot again, and the beast fell silent. Dike fell to his knees, bleeding. He had done it. Very early the next morning, as the first rays of sunlight touched the rooftops of Apama, Dike stepped into the village, bleeding, limping, but very much alive. In one hand, he held his shotgun. With the other, he dragged the massive head of the beast. The ground seemed to tremble under its weight. His chest was stained with blood, his clothes torn, but his eyes shone with victory. For a moment, there was silence. Those who saw him were unable to believe what they were seeing. Then someone shouted, "He did it! Dike killed the beast!" Soon, everywhere erupted. Men came out from nowhere. They threw their hats in the air. Women ululated until their voices cracked, and the children ran after him singing, "Dike the brave, Dike the lion." The men lifted him onto their shoulders and danced, parading him like a hero through the streets of the village. By the time they reached the palace, word had already spread. The entire royal household had gathered. The king stood on the steps with his staff of office. Beside him, Princess Amara trembled with joy. When her eyes met Dike's, tears of relief spilled down her cheeks. The king cleared his throat, though his own eyes were filled with pride. "Bring the head forward," he commanded. Dike came forward and knelt before his king, placed the giant's head of the beast at the king's feet. Gasps filled the courtyard. The monster looked even more terrifying in death. King Amadi stared at it for a long while, then lifted his hands to the sky. "The gods have heard our cry," he declared. "Apama is free again." The crowd roared with joy. Drums began to beat, flutes joined in, and the whole palace broke into a song of victory. But when the noise died down, the king turned to Dike and said, "My son, you have done what no man dared. You have saved this land. Therefore, ask for whatever you wish. It shall be yours." The courtyard went silent again. Everyone leaned forward, waiting to hear what Dike would ask for. Gold? Land? Perhaps a chieftaincy title. But Dike lifted his head and surprised them all. "Your Majesty," he said, "I desire no gold, no silver. All I ask is the hand of Princess Amara in marriage." The silence that followed was deep enough to hear a pin drop. People glanced at one another in shock. Some began to whisper. Even the king's advisors exchanged uneasy looks. Amara's heart pounded so loudly she thought the whole courtyard could hear it. The king stared at Dike for a long while. His face was unreadable. Then slowly he began to smile. He rose from his throne and stretched out his hand. "Dike," he said, "you have saved not just my people but my family too. You risked your life when others ran away in fear. You are brave, loyal and true. If it is my daughter's hand you want, then you shall have it." For a second, the whole kingdom seemed to hold his breath. Then the square exploded with cheers. Amara's eyes lit up with tears of joy. Dike's mother cried openly, singing praises to the gods. The villagers danced around them, chanting Dike's name. The king lifted his staff and shouted, "Let it be known that from this day, Dike the hunter shall be called Dike the hero of Apama, the slayer of beasts, and the husband of Princess Amara." Dike smiled, his heart full. The wounds on his chest no longer mattered. He had faced death, and now he held life, love, and honor, all in one moment. As the drums rolled and the people sang into the night, Amara stood beside him, her hand in his, knowing that their love had finally conquered both beast and fate. But right there in the midst of all the laughter and dancing, one person was not happy. Princess Adugo, the king's first daughter. She stood at the palace balcony, watching everything unfold. Her face was smiling, but her heart burned with jealousy. Her sister, Princess Amara, had always been the shining light of the palace, the one everyone loved. When they were children, the palace maids would plait Amara's hair first, just because the gods blessed her with a soft, long hair. When they went to the market, children would run after Amara, singing, "Our sunshine princess, our sunshine princess." And Amara would dance with them. The children would even go as far as gifting Amara little fine things like beads, bracelets, necklaces that they made. And Amara was all too happy to wear them. It wasn't that Adugo was ugly. No, she was beautiful. But also was she proud. She always looked down on people, even those who tried to love her. And she had a sharp tongue, which she did not hesitate to use. And so people did their best to avoid her, and she blamed everyone but herself for that. Now, to see her younger sister marry before her, and not just to anyone, to Dike, the most celebrated man in the whole of Apama, it was too much for her to swallow. She did not even like Dike in the least. In fact, she used to mock him whenever he came to the palace, called him the hunter boy with a goat smell. But now that he was a hero, celebrated, popular, now that people were singing his name in every corner of the kingdom, Adugo suddenly wanted him just to spite Amara. So that same night, when the songs had gone down, Adugo went to her father's chamber. King Amade was alone, sipping palm wine and smiling proudly to himself. "Father," she began softly. The king looked up and smiled. "Ah, my jewel of inestimable value, come in. What troubles you? Talk to your father." Adugo sat beside him, her face calm, her voice sweet like honey. "Father, I've been thinking about this whole marriage issue." The king frowned slightly. "What about it?" Adugo sighed. "It is not proper, father, is it? That Amara, your younger daughter, should marry before me. People will talk. They will say the gods have cursed your first child. They will say you favored one child over the other. Besides, father, it is a taboo. The king was silent for a while. Adugo, there is nothing I can do now. I have made a promise which I must fulfill. You are king, father. You can change your word if you wish. Besides, would it not be better if I married DK? After all, the hero, like him, deserves a first daughter, not a second. He deserves to become your successor. Think about it, she argued. The king blinked. You are right, my god, but I already promised Amara in front of the whole kingdom. Adugo leaned closer. You are the king, father. Your word is law. If you say the sun is blue, then people will agree. Besides, she added slightly, you love me, don't you? And you said I could have whatever I wanted. Well, I want DK. King Amadi stared at her. He loved both his daughters, but Adugo had always been his favorite. She reminded him of his late queen, strong-willed, beautiful, and stubborn. He sighed deeply. My daughter, you make it sound simple, but it is not. The people will talk. Let them talk, she replied quickly. Trust me, father, they will get tired. The king looked at her long and hard. She smiled, the same sweet, dangerous smile her mother used when she wanted something impossible. And just like that, King Amadi's heart began to bend. By the next morning, the decision was made. The king summoned his council and declared that for the sake of tradition and order, DK would now marry Princess Adugo instead of Amara. The moment Amara heard the king's pronouncement, her world shattered. She stood still for a few seconds, unable to breathe. Then, before anyone could stop her, she ran, tears streaming down her face, straight out of the palace. The guards called after her, but she did not even hear them. Dust rose behind her feet as she ran through the village streets, her slippers long forgotten. When she reached DK's compound, she was breathless and shaking. DK, she cried. DK! He came running out, startled by the sound of her voice. But when he saw her tears, his heart sank. What happened, my love? Talk to me, he said, holding her shoulders. Amara broke down completely. The king. My father, he has changed his mind, she sobbed. He said you are to marry Adugo instead of me. For a moment, DK just stared at her as if he were speaking a foreign language. Then he laughed bitterly. That is not funny, Amara. Don't say such things. I wish it were a joke, she whispered. He said it before the council of elders. He said it is not right for me to marry before Adugo. DK's laughter died in his throat. He looked at her again, and the tears in her eyes told him the truth. His legs went weak. No, this cannot be, he muttered. After everything I did, after risking my life. Amara fell into his arms weeping, and DK held her tight, resting his chin on her head. Don't cry, my love, he said softly. I will talk to the king. I will make him understand. Amara shook her head. You don't know my father. When he makes up his mind, nothing can change it. DK sighed deeply, his jaw tightening. He made me a promise, Amara. He cannot back out. If it's not you, then I will be with no other maiden. Not even the gods themselves can command it. She looked up at him through her tears, her heart aching with both love and fear. They were still standing there when a loud voice came from outside the compound. "Dike, the king summons you to the palace." Dike and Amara exchanged worried glances. It was really happening. Moments later, Dike stood before the king, his face calm but his heart boiling inside him. The king looked at him from his throne, flanked by Adugo, who stood proudly beside him with a smug smile. "Dike," the king began, "you have proven yourself a brave man. You saved our people, and for that, you deserve honor. Therefore, I have chosen my first daughter, Princess Adugo, to be your wife. It is a privilege no common man has ever been given." The court murmured in approval, but Dike did not smile. He bowed respectfully and said, "Your Majesty, I am grateful for your kindness, but I cannot accept the offer. It is Princess Amara I love, and she alone I wish to marry." The room went silent. The king's smile vanished. "What did you say?" "I said, my king, I love Princess Amara. I cannot marry another." King Amadi's face hardened. "And who gave you the right to question my command? Do you now think we are equal because you killed just one beast?" Dike bowed his head. "Forgive me, my king. I mean no disrespect, but my heart is not for sale, not even for a princess." The king's eyes flashed. "Be careful, young man. Do not take my generosity for granted. I can just as easily take back everything: your reward, your honor, even your freedom." But Dike said nothing more. He bowed once and walked out. By the time he reached his compound, the news had already spread like wildfire. Everyone in Apama was talking about it. "Have you heard?" one woman said. "The king offered Dike Princess Adugo and he refused to marry her." "Is he mad?" another replied. "The king's first daughter. Is he aware that whoever marries Adugo becomes the next king when Amadi dies?" And he said no. Love has eaten his senses, an old woman concluded, shaking her head. Even Dike's mother nearly fainted when she heard. "You did what? Dike, are you out of your mind?" she screamed when he walked in. "You refused the king's offer, the future throne. Oh. What you want is for us to wallow in poverty forever." "Mother, please," Dike said quietly. "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly," she shouted, stamping her foot. "You want to die for love. Does love feed stomach? My son, tell me. Love does not feed the stomach. You could become king. King! And me? I will become the queen mother. Dike, my enemies will hide their heads in shame by the time you become the king of Apama." But Dike only sighed. "Mother, I would rather be poor, a poor hunter with peace, than a king without love," he said to his mother. Later that same day, Amara went to her father to plead with him. "Father, please," she began, kneeling before him. "You cannot let Adugo marry Dike. I love him and it will break my heart to lose him." King Amadi looked at her kindly. "My daughter, calm your heart. I know this hurts you, but your sister is right. It is not proper for the second daughter to marry before the first. You are young, beautiful. Your time will come, and you will find a good man, better even than Dike. Amara stared at him in disbelief. Father, this idea, it wasn't yours? She whispered. Was it Adogo's idea? The king's eyes shifted slightly, and that was all the answer Amara needed. She stood up slowly, her heart breaking into pieces. So, this is how it is, Father. You favor her happiness over mine? This is not right. This is not right. Without another word, she turned and stormed out of the king's presence, her eyes blazing. Servants scattered from her path. She went straight to Adogo's chambers, and before the guards could even announce her presence, she pushed the doors open. Adogo was there, seated in front of her mirror, humming to herself while admiring the coral beads around her neck. So it is true, Amara said sharply. You did this. Adogo smiled without turning. Did what, dear sister? Don't play innocent with me. You went to father and you poisoned his mind against me and Dike. Why are you so selfish? Adogo finally turned, her smile cold. Watch your tongue, Amara. I only reminded father of our customs. I am the first daughter. It is my right to marry first. Right? You say right? Amara's voice shook with anger. You don't even love him. Adogo shrugged lightly. Love is for foolish maidens who fetch water from the stream. Royalty marries for purpose. Tears filled Amara's eyes. You are cruel, Adogo. You have taken the thing I love the most from me. The man I love. My happiness. Adogo cut in. Oh, stop crying. The people will soon get tired of pitying you. Be grateful that your sister is kind enough to make Dike royal. Amara gasped. You are wicked, and this is why nobody likes you. You cannot even get one single man to love you in the whole of Apama and its neighboring villages, and so you decided to take mine. She moved closer to Adogo. You will regret this, Adogo. You will regret this, I promise you. Adogo smirked, less concerned. We will see, little sister. That night, Amara cried herself to sleep. The whole palace was quiet, but her pillow was soaked with tears. Meanwhile, Dike also sat alone in his compound, staring into the darkness, bereaved of sleep. The crickets sang, but their song brought him no peace. The village was finally safe and peaceful again. Yet, he, the man who brought peace, had none. He turned and turned on his mat until he could bear it no more. If the king won't listen, maybe Adogo will, he said to himself. Perhaps, if she refuses me, then he will have no choice but to give me Amara. The next morning, he went to the palace and found Adogo in the royal gardens. The place was quiet, filled with blooming flowers and the gentle hum of bees. Adogo was there, dressed in a fine wrapper and red coral beads, plucking petals from a rose and smiling like someone already dreaming of her wedding. When she saw him, she smiled brightly. Ah, Dike, I knew you would come around. He bowed slightly. Princess Adogo, I came to speak with you. Her smile widened. I hope you've come to accept the inevitable. No, he said firmly. I've come to ask you to help me. Tell your father you don't want this marriage. You and I both know it is wrong. You and I both know you don't want it. Adugo laughed. You must be joking. Why should I say that I don't want this marriage when I actually want it? Besides, my father's word is final. Who am I to change it? Then hear me, Dike said, his voice rising. I will never marry you, no matter what you and your father do. My heart belongs to Amara. I would rather die alone in the forest than live in a place with someone like you. Adogo's eyes flashed with fury. Be careful, Hunter. You speak to a princess, not a market woman. I speak to a jealous woman who covets what is not hers. He shot back. Her face turned red with anger. You should be grateful that a princess is being given to a lowly man like you. Do you know what honor that is? But since you choose to insult me, hear my words. Except I stop breathing, Amara will never be yours. She turned sharply and stormed out, leaving Dike standing there, fists clenched, heart pounding, frustration. My lovers, it is surprising how fast a person suddenly starts thinking to do things he swore not to do. Right from the day Dike slew the beast, the villagers started to see and treat him differently. And from the day the king announced that he would be marrying Princess Adugo, things changed even more. Dike became more celebrated all over Apama. The people began to revere him like a demigod. Women kept taking gifts to him: beads, clothes, food, produce harvested from their farms. Maidens adored and dreamed of him. He became the topic of discussion everywhere and anywhere young men came together to drink. They hailed him Dike, the slayer of beasts. Some even called him their savior. It would not be an overstatement to say that Dike had become even more important than the king himself. Dike soon started to thoroughly enjoy the attention he was getting. He loved the feeling. The fame and popularity he has gained so far began to intoxicate him. He began to reason, if the people worship me like this now, imagine how it would be if I become king of Apama. Perhaps his mother and Princess Adugo were right. He thought to himself, this was once in a lifetime opportunity, one that he would never get again. The thought planted itself in his heart and bore fruit. He decided that perhaps marrying Adugo would not be such a terrible idea. The thought of Amara crossed his mind immediately. He shrugged it away. Amara would be fine. She would understand. Maybe she came into my life to help me fulfill this purpose, he said to himself again. Meanwhile, King Amadi was growing restless, terribly restless. The kingdom finally had peace, yet he did not. Instead of being hailed for restoring order, the hero of Apama was overshadowing him. Everywhere he turned, he heard Dike's name being sung or praised. Women, children, even the elders spoke more about Dike than their own king. It pricked his pride like needles. Worse still, his two daughters were now bitter enemies, and all because of one man, a hunter, a common hunter. And to crown the shame, that same hunter had rejected his royal command before his council, before the whole kingdom. The humiliation burned him more than fire. King Amadi paced his chambers day and night, thinking of how to fix the mess he had created. But if he changed his decision again, the people would call him a confused king, one who was weak, one who could not make a firm decision. He could not bear to look like that before his people. And so one night, a few days after his public declaration, a thought crept into his mind. What if I give DK another task? He stopped walking. A slow smile spread across his face. Yes, a perfect idea. I will send him into the forest again. He murmured. He will fetch me one leopard skin and one elephant tusk in 3 days. If he succeeds, then he can marry Amara. But if he fails, King Amadi paused, savoring the sweetness of his plan. If he loses, then he will lose the hand of both princesses entirely. And as a consolation for his bravery, I will give him a small piece of land. Yes. King Amadi's chest swelled with satisfaction. It was perfect. Absolutely perfect. He would look like a fair king. After all, he was giving DK another chance. But deep inside, King Amadi knew the hunter could never return alive with such dangerous items in only 3 days. Not even the greatest warrior attempted such things without fear. Let him try, the king whispered with a wicked smile. He will either die in the forest or return empty-handed. Either way, none of my daughters will marry him, and my palace will finally know peace. Unfortunately for King Amadi, all his nights of pacing and thinking, all his clever plotting and scheming, all of it, every single drop of stress became completely useless. Because the next morning, just as the sun was rising over Apama, DK himself strolled proudly into the palace. Your Majesty, he said with a deep bow, I have come to accept your offer. The king almost choked on his own breath. You what? He asked, blinking as if he did not hear well. DK nodded confidently. I will marry Princess Adugo, my king. For a few seconds, King Amadi simply stared at him. This was the same hunter who shattered his pride 2 days ago. The same man who rejected Adugo in front of half the village. Ah, men are truly unpredictable. But the king must not show confusion. King Amadi quickly masked his surprise with a smile. Very well, DK, he said grandly. The marriage shall be fixed for the next moon. And just like that, the decision became final. When Amara heard the news, she felt something tear inside her heart. She marched straight to the back of the palace where she knew DK would be waiting for her under the shade of the big mango tree. Truly he was there, looking disturbingly comfortable with himself. DK, she said, her voice already shaking. Tell me it's a lie. Tell me you did not accept the king's offer. DK sighed. Amara, don't Amara me, she cried. How could you? How could you do this to me? He stood slowly. It is not my intention to hurt you. But the past few days have opened my eyes. I now realize that my true purpose is to lead the people of Apama. Amara stared at him as if she did not recognize him. So, this is about becoming king? What happened to the promises you made me? You slew the beast because of me. You held me and said you would die before leaving me. How come you now suddenly realize that marrying my sister is your destiny. Dike inhaled deeply and looked away, shame flickering briefly in his eyes. Amara, please, don't make this hard for me. You and I know the ways of the gods are not the ways of men. Perhaps the beast and you came into my life to guide me to this path. He spread his hands as if explaining something noble. The people love me, Amara. They worship me. They want to make me their king. And I cannot fail them. He paused, then added with a sorrowful, ridiculous sigh. If only I could marry two sisters, I would have married the both of you. Get the throne and still have the one I love. That was it. Something snapped. Amara's eyes widened in shock. Before he could blink, she raised her hand and brought it down across his face with a sharp slap that echoed like thunder. Dike staggered slightly, touching his cheek in shock. I am ashamed, Amara said, her voice trembling with anger. Deeply ashamed that I ever believed we had something special. How selfish can you be, Dike? The praises of the people have entered your skull and turned your head into an empty calabash. Now you hunger for power and you're willing to break me for it. She stepped back. I hope you choke on the throne you are chasing. You and Adugo deserve each other. I will never wish you both well. May your marriage be as bitter and as miserable as the pain you have caused me. With that, she turned and walked away. Dike watched her go, his chest tightening with a sudden unexpected sting. He felt a pang of pain, but his thirst for power was stronger. He turned his face away from the path she took and hardened his heart. The wedding day finally came. The palace was decorated from wall to wall with palm fronds and bright clothes. Drummers beat their drums until their hands hurt. Women danced until their waists ached, and the elders drank until their laughter shook the compound. It was indeed a great celebration. Apama had not seen such a lavish wedding in decades. Everyone was merry. Everyone except Amara. She sat quietly in her chamber as the festivities rumbled through the palace walls. At times, she told herself she must be dreaming. Surely, she would wake up and find Dike standing by her door, smiling at her. But each time she opened her eyes, the laughter outside grew louder. It was really happening. It was happening. Her heart was not just broken, it was shattered in different sizes. Even breathing hurt. The thought of living under the same roof with them, seeing them laughing, touching, walking hand in hand, was unbearable. Every second felt like salt being rubbed into her wounds. Bitterness began to slowly creep into her heart, and with that bitterness came something even worse. Hatred. The kind of hatred she never believed she could feel for anyone. Hatred for her sister. Hatred for Dike. Hatred for her own father. Hatred for the entire people of Apama. Before dawn broke fully, Amara quietly sneaked out of the palace. No food, no water, no clothes, without speaking to anyone, without looking back. She slipped through the black gate and walked away. She had no idea where she was going. She did not care. All she wanted was to be far, far away. Later that day, the palace woke up to chaos. Amara's attendants entered her room to bring her breakfast and found the room empty, the bed untouched, and the princess nowhere to be found. The first thought she had probably stepped out for fresh air. They waited. but by midday, it became clear that something had gone wrong. Instantly, the entire palace felt like a trapped beehive. Maids ran up and down. Guards shouted orders. Adugo was in shock. Even Dike panicked. King Amadi rushed out in fear, his heart racing. "Search everywhere," he commanded. "Every room, every corner, every farm road, every stream path. Find my daughter." Search parties scattered across Apama. They entered neighboring villages. They questioned traders, hunters, farmers, palm wine tappers. Everyone shook their heads. No one had seen her. By sunset, the searchers returned empty-handed. Hope was all the palace had left. The hope that she would return. Amara did not return. King Amadi fell into deep sorrow for the first time in his life. He regretted his decisions with his whole being. "If I had not forced that marriage," he whispered daily. But the regret came too late. His guilt ate at him alive. The strong king who once ruled Apama now looked like a shadow of himself. He became ill overnight. The villagers were left to wonder what was really happening. Soon, the king was too ill to rule, and Dike had to step in as his regent. He wore the king's bracelets, sat on the king's stool, and gave orders in his name. The people hailed him loudly, but inside him felt a sting every time Amara's name was mentioned. But where was Amara? She was far, far, far away from Apama, lost. She had wandered through the forest like a person possessed, heartbroken, and without thought. She told herself she did not care what happened. She did not care if she lived or died. She was filled with rage and bitterness. She desperately wished for revenge. She wished her family would taste pain as she was tasting it. She walked for hours, then a full day, not knowing where her feet carried her. She only stopped when her legs began to tremble. Then suddenly, she looked around. The trees were strange. The path behind her was untraceable. The forest had become thicker, darker, more quiet. Fear gripped her heart. She turned around. Nothing looked familiar. She tried another direction, still unfamiliar. Every step took her deeper instead of out. The horrifying truth hit her. She was lost. Truly, terribly lost. The sun began to dip behind the trees. Night was coming. The forest was no friend at night. Amara began to panic. Her heart began to pound. Then she saw something. A small hut tucked between two trees. Smoke rose faintly from somewhere beside the hut. The place looked old but clean, lived in. Relief washed over her so quickly, her knees nearly gave way. "Thank the gods," she whispered. At least she would not be eaten by whatever lurked in the dark. At least she would have shelter. She took a shaky breath and stepped toward the hut, unaware that this moment, this simple step would change her life forever. The hut was small, but smoke curled gently from its roof, and the scent of roasted meat drifted out like an invitation. Amara hesitated only for a heartbeat before she pushed the old wooden door open. Inside sat an old woman, grey hair tied into a rough bun, her skin slightly wrinkled. Her eyes, however, were bright, too bright for someone her age. When she saw Amara, she froze. For a moment, only the crackling fire spoke. Then the woman stepped closer, squinting. "What is a maiden doing this far into the belly of the forest?" she asked, in a voice both gentle and commanding. Before Amara could answer, the woman lifted her hand. "Don't worry, you are safe here." She motioned towards a wooden bench. "Sit. You look tired, hungry too, I suppose. Eat." She placed roasted bushmeat before Amara and offered her a calabash of clear cold water. Amara wanted to refuse, but hunger na your meat. And so she grabbed the food and ate hungrily, her throat tight, her heart still bruised and bleeding. Afterward, she quietly lay on the mat the old woman prepared. But sleep refused to come. All through the night, Amara cried. Silent tears at first, then painful sobs that shook her whole body. The old woman, whose name was Agiliga, heard every sound but said nothing. Morning came. Agiliga sat outside plucking herbs when Amara walked out, her face swollen from crying. "My child," the old woman said softly, "sadness sits heavily on your shoulders. Tell me, what troubles your soul? How did you come so far into the forest? Where did you come from?" Amara sat beside her. For a long moment, she said nothing. And then, everything started spilling out from her mouth, as if she had been longing to tell someone. Agiliga listened quietly, nodding slowly as each painful detail was revealed. "I've lost everything I ever loved, and now all I feel for them is hatred," Amara said. Agiliga reached out and touched her hand gently. "My child, pain can blind even the strongest hearts. Let go of it." But Amara pulled her hand away sharply. "No," she snapped. "I don't want to let go. I want revenge. I want all of them to feel every drop of the pain they poured into me." Agiliga's eyes glinted strangely. She spoke again calmly. "Amara, revenge is a path that changes a person forever. Think well. Take a few days. Decide not with your tears, but with your spirit." Amara said nothing. Her heart was not thinking of healing. She only thought of hurting someone. What Amara did not know was that Agiliga was also from Apama. She had been banished years, very many years ago, after King Uzodimba, King Amadi's father, and the people of Apama accused her of using her powers to kill her husband and only son. They had paraded her around the village naked and stoned her out of Apama. She had lived in the forest alone, bitter, waiting for the day she would have her revenge on Apama. Now, her time had come. Her perfect tool for revenge had been served her on a platter of gold. And to even make it more sweeter, she was the descendant of King Uzodimba himself. But she had to play her cards well if she wanted to succeed. Days passed. Amara stayed in the hut, eating when forced, sleeping little, speaking even less. Her sadness deepened into something darker, a cold emptiness. Each day her hatred grew. She became even more bitter. Agiliga watched her silently. The witch knew what was coming. It was time to strike. One quiet morning, Agiliga called Amara into the hut. She looked at the princess with piercing eyes. "I know what you desire, but I will ask you only one question. If you were given the opportunity for revenge, what would you do?" It was as if Amara had rehearsed the answer in her heart for days. She did not stutter. She had already conceived these thoughts for days. Her voice came out fierce and clear. I want the ability to turn into a mighty beast, a lion perhaps, a huge one. I will destroy Dickie. I will destroy his peace. I will destroy all of Apama because they supported evil. I will take their peace. Let them feel what they made me feel. Agiliga smiled slowly, a knowing smile. Exactly what she wanted to hear. So be it, she whispered. Let it be for you as you wish. They deserve to get whatever it is you do to them. Amara blinked. You can do that? You can make me become fearsome? Agiliga stood, her back straightening unnaturally, her eyes glowing brighter than before. My child, she said with a voice that no longer sounded like the Agiliga she knew. I am not an ordinary woman. I am Agiliga, the one who wields great power. Power dances at my fingertips. She reached for a black wooden bowl and brought out a strange liquid. It was thick, dark and bubbly. Drink! Amara hesitated only for a moment. Then she lifted the bowl and swallowed. Instantly, her body shuddered violently. Her vision blurred. Her bones burned. Her breath became painful. Agiliga began chanting ancient words that shook the heart, ancient words that bent the very air around them. The ground trembled, the walls rattled. Amara screamed. Then suddenly everything felt silent. And where Amara once stood was a massive, huge lion. Majestic, terrifying, eyes blazing. Agiliga smiled with satisfaction. Go, my child. Your vengeance awaits. Go and avenge us. Destroy the people of Apama. Make them pay for their wickedness. The lion, or do I say Amara, walked towards Apama. Somehow, she no longer felt lost. Morning sunlight fell gently over Apama. Children chased chickens in the compounds. Women pounded fufu, and men discussed village gossip over early morning palm wine, when suddenly a deep rumbling sound echoed through the village. Footsteps, heavy, calm, unhurried. Then someone screamed, "A lion! A lion! The beast has returned!" In moments, the peaceful morning scattered. Everyone went helter-skelter like chickens chased by a hawk. Pots fell, children cried, goats leaped over fences, grown men climbed trees faster than monkeys, women carried their children into the houses. But strangely, the lion did not attack immediately. It walked majestically, as if it belonged there. People watched from windows at the rooftops as the lion strolled straight towards the palace gates. The guards dropped their spears and vanished at the sight of it. Maids scattered like dry leaves. Even the palace dogs hid under the storage hut. The courtyard was suddenly empty, except for two people. Dike and Princess Adugo had sat under a shade where they had been about to eat their breakfast. Alarmed, wondering what the whole fiasco was about. The lion appeared and then stopped a few meters away. She stood, watched. Dike froze. His heart hammered in his chest. He quickly stepped in front of Adugo, drawing his sword. "Stay behind me," he shouted. Adugo trembled. "Is it the beast? Has it returned to finish us?" The lion's gaze sharpened. Dike holding Adugo close, protecting her. Adugo having what she once dreamed of. All of it made something explode inside Amara. Pain, rage, heartbreak, jealousy, everything she felt all at once. She let out a roar so loud the palace pillars shook. Before DK could blink, she launched herself at them, faster than wind, fiercer than a storm. DK rolled away sharply, dropping his sword as he scrambled for safety. But Adugo was not so lucky. Amara's claws slashed across her throat in one swift, violent motion. Adugo fell, her eyes wide, her blood staining the palace floor. Silence swallowed the courtyard. DK, trembling with shock, stared in horror from behind the pillar. The lion stood over her sister's lifeless body. The relief, the satisfaction she dreamed of, it did not come. Instead, she felt something sharp and unexpected: regret. She looked around the palace she once danced in, the courtyard she grew up playing in, the place she used to call home. For a moment, the lion's eyes softened, sorrow filled them. Then she turned slowly and walked towards the forest, filled with regret. DK crawled towards Adugo's body, his face twisted with rage and fear. She was gone. His path to the throne, gone. His future as king vanished with one swipe of claws. His eyes darkened. Rage filled him. He stood up, grabbed his sword, and shouted to the guards. "Send word to the people. Tell them to hide. The beast has returned. But I, the slayer of beasts, will slay it just as I did before." Villagers stayed hidden, shaking, crying, and whispering prayers to the gods for protection. When DK stepped out of the palace with his sword raised, the guards hailed him loudly. "DK the Slayer! DK our hero! DK, 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 DK!" Their praises fueled him even more. Inside him, a single thought blazed: "I will kill the lion and find Amara. I must become king at all costs." DK walked into the forest, his sword clenched in one hand, his gun in the other, his anger blazing, pushing him forward. He wanted the beast's head again. The people would believe beyond doubt that he was their savior. A few hours later in the bush, he saw a movement ahead. A huge shadow gliding between the trees. The lion. She stepped out slowly, her golden eyes burning. DK did not hesitate. He charged with a roar of his own. The forest exploded into chaos. The clash was fierce. DK swung wildly. The lion pounced, claws flashing. Branches snapped, leaves scattered, the ground trembled. Finally, the lion leapt and pinned him to the earth, her claws digging into his shoulders. She raised one massive paw for the final strike. DK closed his eyes, ready to die. But the blow did not come. The lion froze. Her body trembled. Slowly, painfully, she lowered her paw. She looked down at him, and somewhere beneath the anger, memories began to rush in. She remembered who she was, remembered the days they had laughed and shared their joys together. Her sister's lifeless body flashed before her eyes. She shook her great head, stepped back, and turned to walk away. DK lay there, bleeding, gasping for air. But as she moved, something dark in him awoke, the old hunger, the ambition, the pride. He grabbed his gun, forgetting that the lion could have finished him if it wanted to. He cocked the gun and boom, he fired. The first bullet tore through her side. She staggered. Boom, the second shot dropped her to the ground. The forest fell completely silent. DK struggled to his feet, limping forward towards the fallen lion. But as he drew closer, the impossible happened. The lion's body began to glow faintly. Its fur dissolved into the air like smoke. its bone shifted, its form shrunk, and suddenly, there lying where the lion had been was Amara. Her wrapper torn, her body covered in blood, her eyes half open, staring at him. Dike screamed. He dropped his gun and fell to his knees, dragging her into his arms. Amara, no, please, speak to me. Her lips trembled. She wanted to say something, but no sound came out. Blood trickled from the corner of her mouth. He shook her gently. I'm sorry. The gods, what have I done? Amara, please forgive me, please. Her eyes fluttered once, then closed forever. Dike wailed, a sound that tore through the forest, through the trees, through every living thing. He pressed his forehead to hers, rocking back and forth, as guilt drowned him completely. He had killed her. He had killed the only woman who truly loved him. Killed her with his own gun. The woman who refused to kill him even when she had the chance. There was no time to think how she had become this mighty lion. He needed to get her home. With the last of his strength, he lifted her limp body and began the long walk back to Apama. He himself was bleeding heavily, his vision fading. Just as he reached the village entrance, his legs gave out. He slumped to the ground, still clutching her. Men going to the farm that morning saw what was happening and then they rushed forward. Seeing the sight before them, they gasped in horror. What calamity is this? The people shouted. The bodies were carried to the palace. When King Amadi saw the lifeless body of his youngest daughter and Dike, he collapsed. His wail echoed through the palace like thunder. This is my doing, he cried. My children, my pride, all gone because of my foolishness. His heart shattered completely. That night, the king took his last breath. Apama entered a darkness deeper than night. 3 bodies in one day. The entire royal family wiped out. 4 lives destroyed by pride, jealousy, and bitterness. The people mourned for days. They sang dirges. They poured ashes on their heads. But then they learned a lesson too. They learned that pride, deceit, anger, wickedness, betrayal was evil. But the most dangerous of them all is bitterness. It leads to the others, consumes you from the inside, makes you an easy tool for the devil to manipulate, and then destroys you even before it destroys the people around you. Dear lovers, I hope you have learned that too. Hey lovers, thank you for listening to this story. If you are new here, welcome to our community. If you enjoyed listening to this story as much as I enjoyed creating it, please give this video a big thumbs up. And if you have not done so already, please hit the subscribe button. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.